With so much negativity, chaos, pain, and suffering in the news, the world's weight can feel unbearably heavy right now. All of us have certain fears and challenges that show up in life, and it causes us to play small, procrastinate, and feel overwhelmed. This limits our potential. When we find a way to deal with and overcome this fear, we are ready to take another step and transform our current reality. Hi, I am Karina Lewitz, and I am sharing these 4 simple steps to overcome fear. I'm not sure if you already know, but fear comes from within us. It is something we see and hear, and then we give it a meaning that scares us. Therefore, some inner work is required to help us navigate and overcome these fears. There are 5 common fears that show up in our life. Listen to them and decide which one you decide or you experience more often in your life. Number 1, not feeling good enough. I also believe this is the most common fear that shows up in our world. So far, each time I attended a seminar or a workshop, that is what people listed the most. Not feeling good enough. Not feeling good enough as a partner, as we think they judge us. Not feeling good enough as a parent, as we are concerned and unsure if what we are doing will help our children succeed. Not feeling good enough or competent enough when we start something new. So even in our typical day-to-day career, there are doubts in our head, and we doubt we are good enough to succeed. I'm sure anyone can relate to not feeling good enough in one way or the other. Number 2, judgment from our friends or family. So often when we do something new, we are very concerned about what our family or friends will think. As a woman, do I look good in my clothes? What will people think if I share this post on social media? What will the parents at school think about my parenting skills with my very curious teenager? When I fail at something, what will my family say? How will they judge me? Oh, that divorce, my finances, the abusive situation at home, this restructure at work, and the possible retrenchments. Perhaps you lost your job already, and you are so concerned about all that judgments from your loved ones. This fear can stop us in our tracks. Sometimes I also unconsciously avoid certain things because of judgment of others. Number 3, fear of being seen or being heard. Sometimes it is too fearful of being out there in this world. So to use this beautiful voice, we have to speak up, and just the thought of it can paralyze us. Number 4, the fear of asking for money. When I am just thinking about asking for money, I get overwhelmed feeling in my chest. I am not sure if it goes back to my younger days as a child, but I hate doing that. Even if I have to ask my husband for money to buy bread and milk. Now, that can be an underlying ego situation, or it can be a fear of rejection or a fear of failure and not feeling good enough. But asking for money overall makes people fearful. Number 5, a fear of bothering people. I don't know if you have experience, but I believe this is why social media and messenger apps are so successful. People can read your message when they have the time, and you don't have to bother them. Very convenient. This is a familiar feeling when making a sales call. Perhaps you have experienced it with trying to phone a friend or a family member that you have not been in touch for a while. Can you recall how you probably pick up the phone, then get that tightened feeling in your chest? Usually I just put the phone down and continue to do something I feel more capable of doing and be successful with. So, which one of these fears are you experiencing most in your life? How does it make you feel when you think of those fears? Do you feel like crawling back into that rabbit hole? These are the common fears, and everyone experiences them in life, even the most successful people. The difference between us and those successful people, do you know what it is? Successful people face their fears and overcome them because they figured out a strategy to move forward when fear wants to paralyze them. So, let me share this simple technique that we can use every single time we experience any of these fears or other fears that might pop up. Here are 4 simple steps to rationalize what may be happening at the time when fear comes up in our lives and helps us to release that inner hero within us. Step number 1, awareness. It is to become aware of what is actually happening. Firstly, accept it. Accept what is happening. If you feel like you're bothering people, accept the fact that you are bothering people. If you feel like it's hard to ask for money, accept that the fact that it is difficult to ask for money. If you fear that you don't feel good enough, accept the fact that right now that you are not feeling good enough. Accepting what is truly happening allows us to get in a state of awareness. It enables us to accept the feeling that is happening through us. It allows us to accept the reality of our current life. This acceptance allows us to be fully aware of our reality within our lives. So now that we are aware of how we feel, this brings us to number 2. Recognize the true emotion. Our fear does not show up alone. It has a friend and always come with it, and we have to recognize that emotion. Are we feeling more frustrated? Are we feeling more angry or pissed off? Are we feeling disappointed? Are we feeling discouraged? Are we feeling sad? Are we feeling unhappy? We need to recognize the emotion we really feel when that fear kicks in. We need to give that fear or that friend of the fear a name and label it. We must recognize that emotion to understand that we are not just afraid. There is something else there holding our fear's hand. Once you recognize that it is something else causing you your fear, you can change your state. If you are unhappy, listen to music that makes you happy and see what happens to that fear. If you feel discouraged or angry, go for a walk or a run because it makes you feel better. Or you can just throw your hands in the full and say, no more. It will also change your state. What you can also do is you can stand in a superhero position and just look at everything in front of you. Change your state and you change your experience and your fear. Now, it is all cool to recognize the other emotion and change your state and feel different. However, there's a reason you feel this way. This fear might just pop up again, and it might be sooner than later. This brings us to step number 3. Look at your thought connected with this fear and investigate it. Let me explain. Let's say that you are feeling judged, and because of that, you find resistance and hesitate to make the next move or take the next step. This feeling of fear or of judgment may be occurring in your life because once a family member or a friend made fun of you, or maybe they just said something and you did not feel the same. But on the other hand, perhaps you were proud of yourself for drawing that picture in school, or the way you cleaned and organized your room when you were younger. The thing is, you really felt good about it, but they thought differently. So because of that experience, you feel like, oh, I'm going to get judged by my family, my friends, and I don't know if I want to go ahead with this. I definitely experienced this when I made my first video, even the second video. Likewise, I experienced this fear of judgment when I made my first social media post. Oh, and don't even let me get started with my first workshop. I was so concerned about what will the people think. Will they enjoy it? Will they learn something and I actually stopped myself from trying to talk at one stage. However, I knew my feeling of judgment had little to do with my circumstances and more with a few experiences I had earlier in life. Those comments our loved ones make if they think they want to protect us from their insecurities and their bad experiences. Or perhaps those judgment comments they made when they were maybe a bit jealous because we did what they always wanted to do, and unconsciously they wanted to bring us down to their level. Maybe we drew a lousy picture and everyone laughed at it, or perhaps it was our first time we tried to throw a ball. They just forgot how it felt when they attempted it for the first time. And because this was new, we felt bad. We felt judged. We felt not good enough. When we investigate why we felt that emotion and we understand this fear, where it comes from, we recognize that the judgment might not have been truthful. The emotion wasn't correct. And we see it for the lie or selfishness it was. So investigate where you first felt that doubt and fear. Understand the feeling better. Recognize that it was not the truth or that it was misleading. This brings me to the last step. Step number 4. Change your identity. You now recognize that the fear you have has a friend and you understand where it comes from. After investigation, you know that it was a lie that you believed, and that you believed you were not good enough and you were judged wrongly. Whatever it is, believing that story has already cost you so many opportunities. It is now time to let it go. Let go of this old fear for you and reach out for that inner hero. Close your eyes and practice how the new you will address that fear. Will the new you take the phone? Will the new you stand like a superhero for 2 minutes to feel more confident? Will the new you make that call and discover it was something easy to do? What will the new you do when you try to do something new, something that you are not familiar with? Will that person with a new identity do more research, build confidence, or just go out and do it? Because if we never try, we will never know where to grow further. Visualize your new identity, the new you. Okay, when you find yourself scared again, and believe me, you will be scared again, remember that you are now a different person. Remember that you had enough to allow things to slip away because of that fear. So be the new best version that you can be. And yes, be patient in becoming that new person and love that new you all the way on this journey to change your new identity. Now that you know who you want to be, rehearse to be that person every day. Then practice being that person and create daily habits to help you become this new identity you choose. So let's quickly recap the 4 steps to overcome fear. 1, awareness. Get really aware and present of what is your fear. 2, recognize the true emotion. Recognize the emotion or the feeling associated with that fear, the friend. Number 3, look at the thought connected with this fear and investigate it. See the lie you believed and what it is, what it has cost you. Rationalize your thinking. Don't just fall for your old thinking. Think about a way you can choose to have a more powered thinking. Then, number 4, change your identity. Question your identity, create a new identity, and build associated habits for that new identity. You see, the truth is, regardless of what fears you have, regardless of everything that is happening in the world, there is so much that we can do to show up for ourselves and for our loved ones. We can use the strategy and face our fears and become better versions of ourselves and be grateful for the progress we make every day. This brings me to the end of my message today. Go out and face your fears. Then overcome your fears one step at a time. By the end of the year, if you follow the strategy, you will be more confident and more fulfilled with what you have accomplished. Please know that I'm not sharing this as a coach, but as your friend who cares about you and who believes that each person who grows and becomes their best version makes the world a better place. Until next time, bye for now.